My guest for today is someone who has inspired leaders and entrepreneurs around the world. Ret Power is an award-winning leadership coach, bestseller author, and one of the world's top-ranked experts in courageous leadership. He has advised CEOs, entrepreneurs, policymakers across the world, and his insights have been featured in major outlets like Forbes and Inc. magazine. Today, we'll explore with you what true leadership looks like in time of division and uncertainty, and how the lessons from business can help guide our politics and our community, and of course, our future. Ret, you are most welcome.
Well,
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on the show.
well, thanks, Maria. It's a real pleasure to be on the program.
Yeah, my first question is about today polarized political climate. What leadership qualities do you think are most lacking in Washington, D.C.? We know we have President Trump, but we cannot compare any other leadership with President Trump. But what you can tell us in general?
Look, what I'll say is this. I get to work. I get the pleasure of working with some of the top leaders in the world, and I've gotten the honor to lead a few companies myself. And you know, what I find is the leaders that are super successful,
Hmm.
they have a couple of really key traits. And number one is they listen to others, and they're willing to listen to hard things, even to people that are have a different opinion. Uh, I find number two, I think that they are empathetic
Hmm.
and they understand that people have lives and they have things around them are going on in their lives that are important, just as important as work.
Hmm.
So they understand that. They also understand that people need clarity and understanding how their work in that particular organization is tied to the results of that organization. They need to know that their work matters.
Hmm.
And so, and I could go on and on and on, but I think the hallmarks of really successful leaders is that they learn to listen, they're empathetic, they understand that people have lives outside of their work. Um, but they also have set high expectations and they let people know what those expectations are. And they're very clear about, they help people find clarity around that work and a purpose in that work.
Yeah.
And, I think, we see, to sort of carry that point on a little further. I don't think that the top down, do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it kind of approach works. I think, people don't respond to that well. And I think leaders understand that the more you can work with people and the more you understand people and the more you try to understand what makes them and motivates them, I think the more successful you are at keeping really good people in your organization.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
that's
want
how it
to
is.
I want to listen to your advice for politicians, how they can, like we are in a world uncertainty, so how they can navigate a strategic decision, a strategic challenge, how they can face it, and they have to keep unity at home. So globally, what is your advice to this kind of leadership, American leadership?
Yeah, look, I'm not a politician. I'm a business person.
Hmm.
And I don't, I don't know if I can answer that in the context that you want me to answer it. I think that people, um, as a politician or as a political leader, your job and your only job is to serve the people. And I think, uh, you could make the case that there are a lot of reasons why we're in our situation that we're in,
Hmm.
where there's no trust. There's no trust in Washington. There's no trust at the state level in our governments, and things aren't functioning well. I mean, money plays into that, influence, all the things. I gotta say that I don't really pay much attention to what politicians do. Um, I think it's very easy to go down. I mean, I pay attention to the news and I pay attention to what's going on in the
Mm,
world, but I can't get so focused on what one politician does or doesn't do. It doesn't mean that I don't care. It doesn't mean that it's not frustrating to watch and see.
mm,
It just means in the context of running a business and running my business or helping somebody else be successful in theirs, we can't get wrapped up in what these people do. We have to focus on what matters and what drives our businesses forward.
yeah,
Um, I would love to see politicians. I would love to see the money out of politics. I would love to see politicians term limited. I'd love to see politicians focused on solving real problems because they have the power to do that.
yeah, yeah,
And we're not doing that right now. So my advice to them would be, um, don't focus so much on your long-term sustainability as a politician. Serve, serve well, and
mhm,
um, when it's time to go, go, and don't don't stay in Washington too long. Go back and do what you were doing before or do something different. But yeah, I don't I can't get wrapped up in what one politician does or doesn't do because there's
yeah.
so much.
You don't want to go into details, and
Well,
let's talk
yeah.
about entrepreneurs.
hmm
What are the three, I have a question here. What are the three traits that separate successful founders from those who fail?
Um, there are a lot of things. It depends on the type of business and all kinds of things. But I think the three basic traits with successful entrepreneurs is that they're highly accountable,
Mm,
they're courageous, and they have a lot of determination. They have I don't know if you want to call it determination or maybe discipline,
mhm,
but they're highly driven and they're highly disciplined and making their business work, and they're focused on they 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 understand what's important and what's not,
mm,
and they can decipher through all the noise and all the stuff and work on what's really important and what drives the business. And you know that's hard, and particularly in a world where we live in a very distractible world. There's so many things coming at people, coming at entrepreneurs, so many new tools, so many new products, so many services, and so many things that can distract us. And I think that if we're successful people that I've worked with, I notice a couple things like, their courage. They're willing to make hard decisions, courageous decisions. They're highly disciplined. They're highly driven,
mhm.
and they have a form of accountability that is different than everybody else's in there. They hold themselves accountable.
Cool. I want to talk about small business owners, how they can remain innovative and resilient during times where the economy is in a phase of downturning, let's
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it's a problem and something that we all have to worry about and think about. And uh, being a small medium enterprise business owner is tough. Uh, and again, I go back to those three traits. I think being able to make courageous decisions and pivots. When you noticed, you look at COVID as a great example where, people shifted their entire. I have a client, that uh, produces trade shows.
Mm,
One of the things that they did during COVID when the trade show business completely stopped was they helped the cities organize the COVID vaccine locations, and they brought their organizational skills to help the cities do that. So they were able to maintain a little cash flow and
mm,
keep people busy, keep their teams busy during the pandemic. So I think being able to be courageous and think outside the box and be innovative and make those decisions and those calls really fast when you have to. Um, I think also being really disciplined with your money and your resources. One of the things that we did in my first business, which I think helped us be successful, was this happened during or not the pandemic, but the big economic crisis in 2008.
yeah, yeah.
Where all of our cash flow essentially stopped for a while. we had to be very disciplined with our financials and with our money and our resources. Um, and one of the things we did for the first 10 years is I sat in the first same office chair for 10 years. We were a $50 million company, but we didn't go out and buy, new things and new toys and new cars and we maintained a financial discipline that was really, really important, and that served us really well.
Mm.
Um, so I think those are some things that I would say to small business owners in this time of change. Be disciplined, be financially disciplined, be courageous in making the changes and the pivots that you think you need to make. And then also, if you don't have a strategy today on AI and tech, you're going to be behind the curve.
Mm.
I think it's going to impact every kind of business, from Main Street to the big corporate businesses. And I know, we keep saying this and people keep hearing it, but the fact is that, you know, with AI tools and technology, uh, it can supercharge a business. It can be a competitive advantage. And so if you're not thinking about how to incorporate these tools into your business, you're going to be at a disadvantage and you're going to get disrupted. And this is a time of this is a threat to your business. It may
Yeah.
not be a direct competitor, but it is a threat to your business because somebody else in your business and your industry is going to adopt these tools
To
and
use, yeah.
they're going to get the competitive advantage.
Yeah. Another advice I'm asking from you is about people who have or leaders who want to scale, but without losing their company culture. Uh,
hmm
how they can do that?
Well, I think having very clear, I mean, this is a great question and something I hear a lot. Um, Number one, we think that we don't put enough resources behind company culture,
Mm,
right? We think we have these nice murals on the wall with our mission statement and our values and all that stuff that we post all over our buildings and all over our places, and we think that that's the company culture. We think that creates the company culture. Well, company culture is intentional. If you're going to have a good company culture, it's got to be an intentional culture.
mm,
It's got to be driven from the top. It can't be bottom up driven. It's got to be driven down from the top, and you've got to set the expectations and you've got to set the culture. And so the way that you keep a culture is by continually doing, even if it's a remote workforce or just the workforce is growing, you got to be intentional about it. You got to spend time on it. You got to talk to people. I'll tell you an example. I have a customer or a client who he runs a company of about 200 people, I think it's 220 people,
mm.
and he goes to lunch with everybody once a year, right? He makes sure that he talks to everybody, has a meal, has a few minutes with everybody in the company once a year. So what does that do? Well, it tells people, number one, the CEO of this company cares about me.
Mm.
Because when we sit down, he asks about my family, how everybody's doing. He asks about my kids. So he cares. Then he asked me, what could we be doing better to help you do your job?
Yeah.
So, so he intentionally sits down with everybody in the company every year. Now, as he grows, he's not going to be able to do that, but he will always do a version of that. He will always talk to people every year. And he's great. He's going through a big growth phase. So
Mm.
he's going to have to change how he does that. But I know that one thing about him is he will continue to do that. And it'll look different, but he will continue to talk to people every year and find out how they're doing. So
That's amazing. That's a good involvement. Like this is a good strategy. Many people ask, Rhett, who inspires you? I mean, which
mhm.
is the most influenced leadership that you care about, that makes you adopt a certain philosophy?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've had a lot of mentors and a lot of coaches and a lot of people who've had, massive influence on me. Marshall Goldsmith is the person that brought me into coaching, brought me in after I sold my last company. He brought me into the coaching space and he brought me into this leadership space. So Marshall's had a massive influence. Our friend David's a good friend. but David Meltzer's got had a big influence on me. But there are many leaders. I had a guy when I worked in the government who, um, had a Michael Hannock. I mean, Michael had a massive influence on me and taught me how to lead and to be a manager. So that, I've had these influences. My business partner in the first toy business that Peter Gaska's had a big influence on me in terms of how to lead, and so all these people, whether they're colleagues or mentors or leaders or coaches, have had my wrestling coach in college and my high school football coach had all influences on me in terms of how I've turned it. My father had a massive influence on me on who I am, so and the values that I have. So, I mean, all of these people have influenced my life, and I learn from my kids every day. I mean, I've got a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old, and watching them navigate the changes going on in the world, and they're in university now, they're in college now, and seeing them grow up and embrace the world as it is, and I feel good about how they've turned out and how they're going to conquer what they're going to do. And so,
Mm.
I have a lot of influences, and all those people play a part in who I am.
Yeah, shaping your thoughts. If you could leave one message with the next generation of leaders, what would it be?
I think I would go back to what I said before. I think that there are several traits that I think lead to success in whatever you do. It doesn't matter if it's business, politics, or working for someone. I think have discipline in your life. Um, uh, Discipline, I think, lets you do the things and focus on the things that are important to be successful.
Mm.
Be courageous. Have tough conversations. Take those chances. I don't know that I'm a courageous person, but if I hadn't made some of the decisions in my life and then executed on those decisions, I wouldn't be on your podcast. I wouldn't have had successful businesses. I wouldn't have sold successful businesses. I wouldn't be able to be a leadership and executive coach today. I wouldn't be able to do some of the things that I've gotten to do.
Mm.
So be courageous, make those tough decisions, and then act on them, right? Um, you know, you don't want any regrets when you're turning 80 and you're sitting on your front porch wondering about your life. I don't want any regrets. I want to have lived a full life and done the things that I wanted to do. So that's number two or three. I can't remember. And then the other thing is, I think, uh, you know, be, um, be accountable to yourself, have an accountability partner, get someone that's going to push you hard on what you say you're going to do and how you want to do it. Um, for example, I have an accountability partner and we talk every day, and he pushes me on things that I say I want to accomplish. And
Uh,
he asks me every day, how are
just
you
like,
doing on that?
yeah,
How are
yeah,
you doing on that? Right?
yeah.
How are you doing on that? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you? And that's hard to hear sometimes. It's very hard to hear. It's very hard to have somebody pushing you. But what I realize is I'm not strong enough or disciplined enough or to do everything that I want to do. So having somebody that is behind you pushing, it is extremely helpful. And I know,
Mm.
the statistics on having someone in your life that can push you hard, it exponentially increases your chance. Having just an accountability partner and you having written goals
Yeah,
and an accountability partner
and
gives you
review
like
it.
a 90% chance of being successful in what you want to
Yeah,
accomplish.
yeah. Sometimes kids and your kids can push you to do better and to
Yeah.
succeed. Red, where are we gonna see you? I didn't see you in Texas on Aspire Tour. Are we gonna see you soon? What is your next stop?
Yeah, I think we'll see you guys in New York next week at Aspire, and then I know we have a dinner next week, but I'm in Washington and New York all the time, and so love to catch up. We've got
And
I've got a new book coming out in October on October 28th called Headamentals, and that's a great guide for leaders and people who need to understand how their self-talk, the things that they're saying in their own head, impacts your team, it impacts your culture, the things that we talked about today. And
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about the book. And so that's the next big thing happening. But we're real pleased to be on the show. Thank you, Maria, for having me. And I look forward to seeing you. Maybe we can do an Instagram live or something next time we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
together.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you. And I want to appreciate your presence and I want to thank our friend David to put us together. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.